Hi, I'm Jim Schooley, and this week on Cultural Connection we'll be speaking with a local author and illustrator. And first I'd like to introduce Mandie Muehlhausen. And you are the director of the Spencer Public Library, and welcome, Mandie.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here, Jim.
And about a year ago, you started working on a project I first saw with a little pig called Clayton. And this has evolved out of your imagination and your co-author.
Yes. And I can tell you the story about the birth of Clayton. I had created a piece of art that was called Fair Memories.
That's right.
And it had all kinds of different things about the fair, and it was an entry for the Centennial poster contest.
Competition.
And yes, and I didn't win because it was too complicated because I'm a detail-oriented artist. And however,
they want posters to be big and simple.
Right. Well, they wanted to translate it to the mosaic format, and mine would have been too hard to do.
And you have too many ideas to edit.
I did, and I don't edit. That's one of my problems. So I, in the back of the pickup truck, was a little, in the back of a blue pickup truck was a little pig, and everybody thought the pig was really cute. And then people were starting to ask for prints of this poster, and then somebody suggested that I should go to and sell these at the art barn, along with, I do book page art, so I use recycled book pages and do art on that. So I had several different things that I could have at the art barn, some greeting cards, etc. So I ended up with my print at the art barn, and then Arla was sitting next to me selling her book, Fairgoers Do Not Live on Fried Food Alone. And she looked at the pig and she started telling this story about how this little pig gets lost at the fair and all this. And I said, Arla, you should write this book. And she looks at me and she says, I'll write it if you illustrate it.
There you go.
And Clayton was born.
Perfect.
So Clayton was actually born at the fair, at the art barn.
A fair genesis.
Yes, it was. And then, and it's come full circle because I feel like I've given birth, because 41 watercolor illustrations later, I am exhausted.
Yeah, I mean, you know, at Main Street Market you were finishing, and it was like this
I was literally painting at Main Street Market.
Be quiet, I'm working. Well, this is great. I mean, you have, you know, of course, here's Clayton.
Yes.
And the Ferris wheel, and of course the big gates and everything, the old gate.
This is the cover of the book. And actually, it's really funny. This one is the only one that I kind of edited. The first pig that I painted, it looked like a cross between a pug and a gremlin, and I hated it. So I took an X-Acto knife and I cut it out.
Oh.
And then just and then I taped a new piece onto the back and repainted Clayton. So no one would have known until I just, you know, showed my secret. So.
Well, back from the days of pre-digital camera work.
Right, exactly. Well, and I am
not. And you didn't forget to put anything here. This is where
and so I added the title and the author digitally.
Great. Okay.
So I do know a little bit of digital magic, but not a lot. That's about my limit. I'm definitely an analog artist.
I really appreciate this because I've done it myself, and you know, when you're an artist and you know that it's going to go in front of the camera once, you can get away with a lot.
Yeah, and we just.
But here we see the fair, of course. You know, there's all types of people out there enjoying fried food.
Yes, this is one. I really love this one because this is my favorite place at the fair. Actually, I have one of the illustrations I jokingly call self-portrait of me at the fair, and so it's Clayton smelling all of the fair food, so you can see all of the things. And of course we have the ubiquitous nutty bar there, so everybody loves the nutty bar. You got to have one. And then there's a bunch of different things that I love, you know, the cinnamon rolls and the mini donuts, of course. And so this is one of my favorites. You can smell the food that is smoked turkey leg.
How many illustrations did you actually end up doing for the book?
41.
A children's book is typically like 32 pages, right?
Yeah, generally, yeah. But
So-
we had a little bit more of a story to tell.
And since you're self-publishing, you can change it around if you like, right?
Exactly. And we did quite a bit of editing. Arla wrote the first draft, and then we together worked on the text, and then I started doing a few thumbnails of sketches, and we talked about what we wanted in the illustrations. But I'm really grateful because Arla actually let me do a lot of. She kind of gave me free reign as far as an illustrator goes. And it feels really strange to say that I'm an illustrator because that's a new deal for me. I've never illustrated anything
Well, you know,
before.
Spencer does that to people.
I'm a self-taught artist, so I'm an art school. I'm an art school dropout. So I started out in an art program, and I actually have a minor in studio art from Purdue University, but my life path went differently, and so I ended up not finishing art school, so everything is self-taught, and I think sometimes it shows. But
Well, you know, we've got the chop shop, which is kind of ironic.
well, and that's part of why. I mean, if you look here, these are Clayton's. Here's Clayton here. He's dressed up as a lion because he's in disguise. This is Clinton and Charlotte, his brother and little sister, and they're a little shocked as they realize that this is where pork chops are sold.
Being on the menu is not a good thing.
No, being on the menu is not. And I was planning on Food Row to have like a bacon popcorn stand or something, but I didn't do that. I decided to keep it a little more generic.
Isn't that wonderful?
So yes, this is Clara, this is Mom, and there's Clayton and Clinton and Charlotte and Caleb. So yeah, we you know, in love with alliteration because Arla is a former English teacher, and my mom's a former English teacher also, and then I taught creative writing. So I think all of us, we just kind of have this love affair with alliteration, just naturally.
Do you have any preliminary feedback from the younger age groups?
So far, the kids that have seen it love it.
Great.
And I tried to make it have a wider age range appeal. And it helps being a librarian because you kind of know that instinctively what kinds of things, what age groups like. And so, you know, this is usually probably around 3 to 6 is probably the general age range, unless of course you're like a 4-H kid or you've grown up with the fair, you know. So there's a nostalgic element that the adults will like, but the kids like the animals, and they'll say, oh, you know, I've been there, I've climbed on the equipment and all that. And then for the older kids, there's actually an extra piece to Clayton. If you, in the back of the book, there are things to find in the book. So if you watch this, you get a tip.
There'll be a list of items to look for.
There is a list of items. So one of the items, or one of the things on the list is 2 ladybugs. I'm pretty sure you can see the 2 ladybugs right now.
Well, there's one there.
And there's one right there. So, so it's things like that. You know, find 3 cotton candies, find 8 cowboy hats. So
well, this is similar to your original poster insert with the truck. Wasn't the truck in the poster?
Yes, the truck. The blue truck was in the original piece. So I kind of kept that in the book as
it travels through.
Yes, it's kind of like the truck in Toy Story.
Sure.
There's a pizza delivery truck that actually goes across movies, so it shows up in like Monsters Inc. and some other ones.
Well, that's
so
great.
The blue truck has driven through this book, and then if I ever illustrate another book, which apparently is possible because I already have an author that I'm talking to that wants to do another book. So this is, I am now jokingly calling this my second full-time job. So I think maybe the blue truck might show up somewhere in there, and it'll become a little, you know, maybe it's a toy on a shelf or something, and it's going to become kind of an element that passes through.
Now you're going to have to look for an actual blue truck.
So I would, yeah. If anybody has a blue an old blue Ford or Chevy.
Can be rusty.
It can be rusty, but needs to run. Let me know.
Well, now you're going to be at the fair.
I am going to be at the fair, and
Signing
Arla
copies.
is too. We will be in the art barn, and so if you want your copy signed, go to the art barn, and then watch. If you go to Mandie Lion Art and Design, which is and that's MandieLion on Facebook, Mandie Lion Art and Design. If you join my artist page, then you might find some live videos of a little bit of a scavenger hunt, and you might get a prize.
That'd be good.
So we're gonna have some fun little things that are going on during the first weekend of the fair. And if you want a book signed, come see us, or if you just want to yell at me because you're a hog producer and you think that my anatomy is wrong, or you are a car enthusiast and you think that my cars are wrong, you can come tell me.
Well, that's all well and good. People can critique the book in any way they feel. You're going to be at Arts on Grand.
Yes.
And the illustrations are going to be hanging.
Yes.
And bring the kids.
Yes. Bring the kids, definitely.
And a reception on Saturday afternoon.
There is a reception Saturday afternoon from 12 to 3.
Public is welcome.
Yes, public, please come. We'd love to see you.
You don't have to dress formally or pay an admission. Just come and join right in.
Right, and I think there's actually food too. So.
Yeah, there usually is some.
If you feed them, they will come.
It won't be fried, but it might be close.
No, you see, I wish we had thought about that. We should have corn dogs.
There you go.
We should have corn dogs and cotton candy as the food. But then the reception's from 12 to 3, and then from 3 to 4, there's a roundtable discussion talking with, there's several other illustrators and authors that are in the show, and so we'll be talking about our triumphs, our challenges, and
the self-publishing of a children's book.
The independent publishing of children's books. So.
Excellent. Well, and the book should be around soon, a few days from now.
Monday.
Very good.
And initially we had decided to do a smaller run, and then when the illustrations started getting some attention, Arla decided that we needed to up the order. So, which makes me feel really nice.
Good. Okay. Well, thank you very much.
You're very welcome, Jim. Thank you for having me.
We'll be right back with Arla. Well, next I'd like to introduce Arla Kintigh, and you have a book that you produced by yourself like a year or so ago, and this is your book here, the Fairgoers Do Not Live on Fried Food Alone.
That's right. That was published last year, right around this time in July. I think it came out. And I can't really say I did it alone. I'd say it's sort of like the entire Clay County Fair history and the people of Clay County and various places. Right. Yeah.
And it's a lot of work. You end up spending hours and hours and hours, on the internet searching for little details to make sure that they're accurate. And
that was far more work than this children's book for me. And But I, even last year at this time, had the idea of a children's book about a county fair in my mind. And for Fairgoers Do Not Live on Fried Food Alone, I'd worked a lot with Judy Hemphill, the official fair photographer.
Right.
And she has so many phenomenal photographs. I thought it would be fun to do a children's book with some of her photographs, but and even talked to her about it, but I couldn't figure out what kind of storyline could there be with photographs and characterization. And so then when Mandie and I were at the art barn, it just seemed to fall right into place.
Well, in a children's book, there's so much more freedom, I think.
Definitely. And with this, I didn't have to stick exactly with Clay County Fair and accuracy. A lot of the book depicts Clay County Fair, for instance, the iconic agriculture industry, or the agriculture industry building, and another would be the
railroad.
Railroad,
yes.
Exactly.
The marvelous railroad.
But we couldn't mention certain company names, and so we went with Itty Bitty Donuts. I think Mandie came up with that. And the book is geared toward younger readers. However, mid-century Homer Price is somebody that older readers would definitely appreciate. And one of the pig's names is Charlotte, a little allusion to
Sure.
Charlotte's Web, of course.
Absolutely.
And so
Mr. Toad likes Charlotte.
definitely, we didn't have to just stick with the Clay County Fair. And there's a lot of nostalgia for any fairgoers.
So explain a little bit about the storyline. I mean, you came up with the concept of where Clayton would, you know, the dilemma would occur that Clayton gets lost. Is that right?
Right, wander around the fair, and actually children at Arts on Grand Art Barn helped contribute to the storyline and places that Clayton would go.
Very good.
Last year, Mandie and I would ask children going through the Art Barn, what's your favorite part of the fair? And that gave us some ideas where we wanted Clay
Very
to
good.
venture.
Very good. I think that's a great idea. Well, and I think that, you know, once again, the Clay County Fair represents a lot more than just food, but if you had to narrow it down, it's like agriculture, food, it's really, you know, the core, isn't it?
It is, definitely.
fun.
Right, and children come up
And
with
family.
almost anything creative. For instance, a lot of the kids said face painting was something that
Sure.
they enjoyed.
Sure.
Well, Mandie, who I consider a creative genius, as a matter of fact, I would say this book is 75% Mandie and 25% author. Mandie came up with the face painting idea,
Look at there.
a little allusion to lion,
Yep.
tiger, bear, Dorothy. And she came up with just so much detail and accuracy that it's phenomenal.
The Percherons.
So
and those
I'm
big
excited to
horses.
see the book. It comes, it should be delivered on Monday.
Yep.
And it will be available on my website, thatfairbook.com.
Okay.
And we look forward to selling it in a variety of retail places, just as fairgoers do not live on fried food alone, is still available.
Okay. Well, and you'll be available at the fair to help people get their own signed copy, right?
I will be at the Art Barn every day through the fair, and then I think it will be sold also at the museum, which
Okay.
now is located in the event center
Oh, okay.
at the fairground.
No longer under the grandstand, huh?
Right,
Okay.
right.
Very good. Well, you know, the fair, it's always a big event for Northwest Iowa. People are going to have one more thing to do. And, you know, that's the beauty of the Clay County Fair. It fluctuates so much from year to year. And there's always something new to see. Lots of things that are new to see. So,
That's right, Jim.
along with your book and your previous book and Mandie and Clayton, you know, this is how the fair works. You know, it's an innovation center, and
And
it really,
it's something that Spencer and Clay County and all of Iowa, I think, is very proud of.
absolutely, yeah, it's a great fair, and it deserves to be. And we look forward to seeing all of you at the Clay County Fair. Visit the Art Barn and go to Arts on Grand. Get a preliminary view of the illustrations and meet the authors. So, very good. Thank you so much, Arla.
Thank you, Jim, for the opportunity.
Absolutely. Well, it's been great, and we'll see you next week on Cultural Connection. But till then, keep it cool, Spencer.